Hello, world. What's up? Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Matt Forte. We are here live at the Build Studio in New York City. You can catch our next guest in the Amazon original series, Modern Love, or starring alongside Jimmy Smits as the brilliant lawyer, Sydney Strait, in the NBC series, Bluff City Law. I'm excited to talk to her about everything she's got going on and what it's like to have the best TV dad ever. Caitlin McGee is here. You guys excited? I'm excited. Make some noise for Caitlin. We're going to bring her out. We're going to do this thing. We'll get started in just a second, but first, I believe we have a trailer for the show, so let's go ahead and run that clip.
Everyone likes to talk about how this kind of work is rewarding, but if you lose, it destroys you.
How much did Amerifarm pay you to study
Objection.
Sustained. Do you have any relevant questions? Just one, Your Honor. How much is Amerifarm paying you?
That girl grew up with a hero for a father.
I want you to come back to the firm, Sid. I want you fighting for what's right.
We need to see the files on the case.
Cowboy still loves you.
That's how you saw that.
Did you break his heart?
You broke his heart. You work for these companies. You know how they think. How would you win this case?
Do we want to settle or do we want to win?
She's been here 2 hours and already she's up into 2 years worth of work.
We're total opposites. You're conservative. I wage war.
Our differences could be our strength.
You can't just silence the truth. I want the order. This report for review.
That was brilliance in there.
I hold a family's future in my hands. How do you handle the pressure when winning or losing means everything?
I can teach you how to channel all of this passion that you have. Get back in the fight, Sydney. Because in case you haven't noticed, the world's running out of heroes.
Out there, the fight may be fixed, but in here, we get to say what kind of world we want this to be.
To new beginnings.
And to family.
Family.
Ladies and gentlemen, Caitlin McGee right here. Make some noise. Come on. Congratulations on this show, on everything. You've got a lot of great things going on right now, and I'm super excited you're here to hang out with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
Of course. How are you doing? How's life right now? I heard things are a little crazy. You just got here?
Yeah, I'm delirious. Perfect. But if this is a fever dream, I'm happy to be living in it. Yeah, I got off a plane like an hour ago or so.
That we try to do because we are live, and so there's nothing better than to have you just a little
real fresh,
just a little,
just keeping it real crisp,
ready to go.
Yeah.
I hope this is large enough. By the way, I've gotten the biggest picture of your face I could find,
and
I put it. This half in particular
is really seen a lot, especially on New York City buses. My friends like to pick my nose from a distance. And send it to me to, keep me humble. Is that
still weird, seeing giant pictures of your face everywhere you go? Yeah.
Every single time. It's strange.
What was it like the first time you saw it? Did somebody tell you it was coming, or did you stumble upon it?
No, I didn't stumble upon it because we shoot the show in Memphis. Right. So there's one billboard sort of close to the airport, but I had a very out-of-body experience when, I lived in New York for a really long time, and I remember sweating and hustling, just hauling through Times Square. And right where I used to run to go to a catering job all the time was my face on a billboard. And it was very, it was one of those moments where I had to just take a second because I work so much on set. And I had to just take a second when one of my best friends from college said that to me and just be like, okay, you can celebrate this moment for real. Yeah, exactly.
You used to teach in New York as well, right? You taught acting?
Yes, I did, to middle schoolers. It was delightful. Yeah. I mean, middle schoolers are rough. I hope there's no middle schoolers in this room right now.
That's the majority of our audience is middle schoolers. We bust them in. We write them notes.
From the 7th grade.
We get them out of class.
Get in here, kids.
We bring middle schoolers here.
Yeah.
You can't tell at home, but that's there's still thousands of them.
Just trust us. They're here.
Hundreds of middle school and very well behaved.
They are. They're
awfully
very quiet
for a room full of middle schoolers. How long did you do that for?
I did that for 4 years, which, it was so wonderful while I was hustling myself to be teaching theater because on a daily basis I got to be reminded of why I really do it and what I originally liked about it, which was doing musicals in my high school and my middle school. And so getting to bestow that onto children was so much fun. I still keep in touch with a bunch of them. They're like actual adults, which is terrifying.
That's weird.
It's really weird when they're like in their 20s, and I'm like, just calm down. Stop.
It's the worst. Like I never taught. Well, I did some stuff at camp and whatnot,
Yeah.
but like mostly like babysitting nieces and nephews. But just like the
Right.
passage of time is exceedingly apparent.
Yeah.
like,
And then you look in the mirror and you're like, how old am I?
What the hell have I been doing?
You can like rent a car, and I was just teaching you how to tie your shoe a day ago.
Insane.
Yeah.
Have they reached out to you about this and been like, oh my God, I saw your giant face?
Yes, and it's very, very sweet. Yeah, I have a lot of like, Miss McGee, this is very cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're the only people that can pull off calling me Miss McGee at
Yeah.
this point.
It has a nice ring to it.
Yeah, it's got a nice ring. It was also, it was on the Upper West Side. It was kids from all over the city, and city kids kind of grow up faster than other kids, so they very much felt like they were young adults even when they're in the 7th grade. So we did really fun productions. We did Little Shop of Horrors, and the kids like helped to do the set, and it's kind of heavy material, like it's not, people die.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, guys.
Little Shop of Horrors spoiler
The
alert.
plant eats humans.
Yeah, it's a big part of it.
But they dealt with it so well, so it was really fun. It was a good 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah, people do die in that show, but I do think it's also like it is a giant plant, right?
It's in a funny way, yeah.
It's a funny way. It's a funny way to
singing
go.
plant, yeah. So
I've
if you're
always
gonna
said,
go,
I gotta go.
listen.
I want a giant plant to
There's
somehow
a
be
worse
involved.
way to go. Yeah,
exactly.
with like a belting plant. Yeah.
You, I had to write it down because this was a long thing, but you did something really interesting recently. You were the Grand Marshal of the. I wrote this down. I've never Grand Marshaled anything in my life. So I was fascinated by it.
Listen.
The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series AAA Texas 500 at Texas Motor Speedway.
Yeah.
I had to write it down.
Don't even look at it.
It's a lot to put on a
I'm not
sash.
gonna put that on you. It's a lot. I made a sash for myself.
Did you really?
No, I didn't. I wanted to.
What does a Grand Marshal do? What a fascinating thing.
Basically, it was so much fun. I've never been to NASCAR. Like, I'm from Boston, and so I'm a huge, like, Boston sports fan, as anyone from Boston will tell you within the first 5 minutes of meeting them. They're like, oh, you want to talk bats? Let's talk bats.
Got it.
But honestly, with that, it was like a whole different world, and it really is. People are diehard NASCAR fans.
Totally.
And I got to scream, drivers, start your engines.
Oh, no way.
Which was very fun. I felt like the entire crowd was I was trying to hype them up.
Yeah.
And I took it very seriously. You were a camp counselor?
Yeah.
Okay, so was I. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna muster my
that
camp
shirt back
counselor.
on, yeah.
Let me just.
Good morning, everybody.
Yes,
Like,
thank you for being here. We're gonna have a good day today.
have a great day. Always just affirming that the day is going to be fine.
Yeah.
No matter what
We're
happens.
gonna get through it.
We're out of
Yeah.
ice cream sandwiches and bungalow bars, but we're going to make our way through
Yeah,
this.
we'll push through,
It's
kids.
still summer. Still a lot to be excited.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you
Yeah, it was super
everybody
fun.
start your engines, the cars rev up. That's a wild
it was
thing.
it was the whole thing. And my boyfriend's family is from Texas, so they were super excited about that. That was something that, especially since it's the Texas Motor Speedway and everything, they were really stoked. Yeah, which was very cool.
I'm very much aware of the scale of NASCAR. I don't have like a personal connection to it because I grew up in New York, so it's not as huge here, but it's massive. It's one of the, the largest sports.
Massive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I don't remember how many seats it holds, but it was astonishing. And well, obviously because cars have to go around the track. It's not like humans.
Big field is required.
It's a pretty big space. But it is daunting when you walk in there. Like just to get to a bathroom, you got to like be prepared for a 10-minute walk.
A long walk.
Yeah.
For sure. Was it tough in New York as a Boston sports fan? Was it?
It wasn't. It was tough when the Giants beat us. I was in college at the time, and so I just sort of sat in a corner and quietly cried while everyone pointed and laughed. But that was. I've honestly been mostly a Celtics fan. Like, I love basketball. I just love the NBA so much. I love them as an organization, and so Celtics and Knicks, they're not really like competing the same as like Sox and Yankees.
Totally.
So
No, it's not as storied or
easier,
rivalry.
Yeah. Also, there's like real gentlemanly behavior in the NBA. Like, I gotta say, like, I don't find that I get hassled as much as being a Patriots fan.
Interesting.
Because, we win and maybe cheat. I don't know.
I'm not going to say
I'm
you
not
do,
gonna
you
say
don't.
do or we don't, but we win.
But we win. That is irrefutable. You guys do win. Cool. Well, I enjoy all of that. I want to talk a little bit about this show. I was watching last night's episode. Was that Veronica Mars' Jason Doring in there?
It sure was.
Oh my God, that
He's
was a nice
the
little
nicest
surprise.
guy. I actually never watched Veronica Mars, so I didn't know. But then some of the people on set were freaking out, and I was just like, "What is this?" I know that it just had a resurgence, right, on Hulu.
They came back on Hulu, I believe.
Yeah. And he could not have been sweeter. I don't know the type of character that he plays on the other show, but he's like this very. Oh, is he?
He is in the beginning, and then he gets very. I was a big Veronica Mars fan.
Okay.
So he starts off as a bad boy, but he becomes. He's always your favorite, no matter
Is there
what.
a name for Veronica Mars fans? Is it like Mars Bars or something?
Oh, I don't know. I love that though. Mars bars. Anybody in the crowd a Mars bar? Do we
You're
have
welcome,
no, nobody.
That happen
Anybody
for you.
watch Veronica Mars? No. It's a weird group of middle schoolers that we got here right now. It's not their time.
It's not their time. You know, it's before their time.
Exactly.
They're like Paw Patrol. I will talk about Paw Patrol.
Is Paw Patrol big in middle school?
I don't know. Is that younger than that?
We are both very disconnected from this
I'm
generation, aren't we?
disconnected. Yeah, I am. I think.
So his
Yes.
character's name was Logan. Jason was there. Very cool.
Yeah.
But I decided to get that out of the way.
Yeah.
Talk to me about becoming a part of this show. This is your first time. Look at you on the poster. We talk about how big your head is all over the place. It's a new experience for you.
Mm-hmm.
How did you become, Sydney, how did you get involved with Bluff City Law?
Well, so years ago, Michael Aguilar, who's one of the executive producers on the show, I auditioned to play the lead of his other show called I'm Dying Up Here on Showtime. And it ended up going to Ari Grainer, who's an absolutely phenomenal gifted actress. I mean, she did such a great job with it. But he remembered me for 4 years or so. And I had 3 pilots that didn't go. And that's always hard, but it's also you have to just think what will be, will be. I hate to sound all, wishy-washy about it, but it is true. Like, if it's going to go, it'll go. If it doesn't, then move on.
Yeah.
And if you're really in this for the long haul, I think that the mistake that a lot of people make is thinking that getting success quickly means that it's going to feel better or last longer, and that's not the case at all. And so when Sydney in particular came around, I'm pretty picky now that I got 3 pilots under my belt. Even though I'm a relative unknown, I've still done these roles for a few years. And so it's really important for me in particular to represent women on television the way that I see them in the world. Yeah. And that means not being defined by their relationship to a man. I mean, obviously it's this relationship, but it's a father-daughter familial relationship, not being someone's wife or girlfriend. And I really liked how unapologetically herself she was from moment one. She's very, very strong. And if anyone ever asked me about her likability, I just say, well, she's really damn good at her job. Yeah. So I think it was super important for me just from the get-go to play a woman on television that I want to see, who is single and strong and all of those things sort of wrapped up into one and brilliant. And so that immediately drawed me to this character. And it was between that and Michael and a couple of, Dean really, who's the other creator of the show, really said, like, this is it. Like, she's our Sydney.
She's the one,
and that's not always... I'm the lead of a network show and no one really knew me before this, which is a big deal for him to say. And that really gives me such confidence in the project that they had confidence in me.
Did you know, how early on in the process did you know that you'd be working with Jimmy Smits?
I was actually cast first. So
Came in after.
So he was like, in talks and meetings and stuff with them for a while. So I heard titterings of it, but I didn't want to get my hopes up too much.
Of course.
But I love him. It's funny because I didn't watch LA Law, so I'm not really swayed by that. But I watched Dexter and Sons of Anarchy, and I've seen him do all of these really intense guest stars. So playing this, larger than life philanthropic man who cares about the little guy is so different, and I was so excited to see him do that.
Well, it's just one of those, you're right, I didn't really watch LA Law. I think that was before our time.
Hey, we found something. We're not a million years old.
But I do have this love for Jimmy Smits.
Yeah.
Anytime I've seen him in anything, it's just like, oh my God, it's Jimmy Smits. There's just something about his performance, no matter what role he's playing or what character he is, and he does funny stuff. He does
very
dramatic
lived
stuff.
in.
Yes, and it's just always so great to see him. He very much is deserving of the title TV legend, TV's Jimmy Smits.
Yes.
So when here you are, your first time leading, you're acting opposite this guy. What is that like? Is that nerve-wracking? Is that scary? What do you do with that experience?
It's always nerve-wracking at first before you really know the person, but he's such an immensely kind man. It wasn't intimidating in the sense that he is intimidating. It's just the fact that he is TV legend Jimmy Smits. But that in itself didn't intimidate me as soon as I met him. And we met at the table read. So, and you know, people, guys, spoiler alert to all you middle schoolers out there, people get like fired after table reads if it doesn't work, if chemistry doesn't work and things like that.
Late in the game, they'll do it.
Yeah. And so I was going in and I was fully off book because I was like, I am going to make sure that you know that you made the right decision, Jimmy and NBC and everything. And that, I mean, it worked out clearly, but that was the first intimidating part. And after that, it was a little
It's crazy
smoother.
that you bring that up, that people do like get fired after table reads. Because then, now that I think about it, I forget what show it was. There's a new show this year where one of the actors in the pilot was completely replaced,
Yeah.
and they reached out the pilot
all
and
the
happens all the
time.
time. When do you exhale? When do you go? Okay, I'm on the show.
I'm still holding my breath, man. I'm like, my face is here, and I'm like, I don't know. They could just Photoshop in another chick. It'd be fine, yeah. No, I think that's sort of the exciting and the terrifying part of what we do is that you're never sure. There's never really any security. And that's what's exciting about it, really, at least for me. I always knew that I was going to have a life of insecurity in that way.
Yeah.
Like, and as soon as you get used to that, as soon as you can kind of lean into it, it's a lot easier.
When you were teaching, did you know that I'm teaching now, but I'm ultimately going to be auditioning, and I'm going to try to get out there? Like, this is just for right now in the moment. Let me do this.
When I was teaching, I was going to callbacks and disappointing the kids, which was really the reason why I left.
Teaching them
Honestly,
real lessons.
I was just like, kids, just hang tight for an hour or two. Like, Ms. McGee needs to go.
Every other day was a movie day. You push the card
Yeah.
out, you put a tape in.
Yeah,
I'll be right
yeah.
back.
It'll be fine. Watch Oklahoma. But it was truly a terrible feeling. I can't even imagine. I'm not a parent yet, and I can't imagine having to leave your kids all the time because it really was, it was so hard. I felt like I was disappointing them all the time, especially because I was like the fun class. You know,
Of course.
we played games and did improv and all that stuff as opposed to, you know, I mean, math is also fun. Children.
Put that out there.
Just putting it out there. Math is also fun.
Hashtag math is fun.
Hashtag math is fun. It's trending already.
Trending right now,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
We're just trying to ride that wave.
Yeah. Education is important. It is important. But no, I think it was disappointing for them when I left because it was like, oh, we're not going to play games today because Miss McGee has to go and like be selfish. So
Substitute teacher comes in, has no idea where you guys left off.
yeah, they were like, I don't know, like just jump around like animals.
I guess. Unique
Be
New York.
creative.
Just say that over and over again. I don't know why.
Yeah.
That feels
To
like
sit in solemn silence over and over again. But no, I think that was definitely weighing on me. So that finally just kind of it took a turn. And I just said, okay, I'm gonna watch my 5th graders graduate, and then I'll be done. Yeah. Yeah.
the show takes place in Memphis. You guys shot in Memphis. You filmed on location. Tell me a little bit about what that was like, because I noticed just from researching, not stalking your Instagram, that but you did some cool stuff while you were down there. You went to the animal shelter, and you were really involved in the community. So I'm just curious, like, what your experience, not just filming there, but just being in Memphis was like.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the best part of my job, is getting to use my platform for good in any way. Rescue animals are super important to me. I've worked with rescues for a really long time, and so when I went down there, that was one of the first things I said I wanted to do, as well as I did a little fundraiser for a women's shelter, and actually one of my middle schoolers took his own life a few years ago. Oh, wow. And so every year I donate to his mother's walk with the foundation, but this year I actually got to organize everyone there. So that was really nice to be able to get involved in the community, and Memphis is so welcoming. They really took us under their wing. It was so wonderful to be a part of their community. I mean, the night of the premiere, this woman, Paige, who owns a salon right next to where a couple of us live, organized for everyone to go into the square and like she put down a screen and she had vendors there. I mean, they were all in for the pilot to really just have people celebrate and watch it together as a community, which is amazing because Memphis is a great city. And I think it's been through so much. You know, it has such a complicated history, but being the show that we are and talking about civil rights and bringing that to the forefront of everyone's mind, it could only be in Memphis. That's the only home that we really could have. And so that was super important for all of us to represent the city well And I think they liked having us there, so hopefully we did that.
Yeah. What you talk about the issues that the show addresses and the way it brings things to the forefront of the conversation. I forget. Well, it happens in a couple of the episodes, but you guys sit around, the big conference table, and everybody kind of gets their viewpoint and talks and sort of debates through: should we take this case? What is this issue? And so on and so forth. And it's a fun part of the show. And I'm curious, between takes when the cameras are off, are you guys having similar conversations? Is everybody having those talks when you're not on set and doing stuff?
Yeah, I think, in order to prepare ourselves for these cases, we all do a lot of research into the case law, but especially if I'm trying to represent it, I really need to understand it. And the one that was really hard for all of us was the free speech episode. It was the one that's, vaguely based on, not vaguely, very directly based on Charlottesville. And I think that it's such an important conversation because I also didn't agree with my character's point of view necessarily. I myself like to get involved as much as humanly possible. However, once I looked into it, the actual case law of how hard it is to go up against free speech, it's really dangerous. I mean, it can backfire in a very real way where peaceful protesters can be thrown into jail for various reasons that have to do with under the umbrella of free speech. And so unless it's instigating violence and things like that, it's really, really hard to get justice in that case, even when people are saying despicable, hateful things on Twitter. You know who. And so I think it's really important to have those discussions because free speech shouldn't be completely untouchable. I think that there are limitations as far as what they do to instigate violence, even indirectly. Even if you're not saying, go shoot this person, what you're saying and fueling that fire is really important and has value and has consequences. So that was the one that we really, all of us got really involved. And it was also very personal to different people in the group. And so it was important for us to discuss it in order to have a cohesive environment and feel like everyone was heard.
Is that a part of the process? Second, I guess, the platform that you have, but that I would say that you enjoy, something I find very common. People love the research part and getting to kind of dig deep and learn all these different things. Are you a research person? Do you enjoy that part of it?
I am to an extent. I can't get so bogged down in it. Yeah, I have to have a limit because honestly, I talk a lot on this show. And so a lot of what I need to do is literally just analyze, okay, what point am I making here as far as like litigation goes? But also so much of our show is personal. It's about our family dynamic. It's about our lives as a whole and how the cases affect us. Yeah. So a lot of it just came with, okay, I should understand what this case means. I should understand who has tried to go up against this in the past, for sure. But then at the end of the day, I have to leave that and I have to just make sure that I'm playing each moment authentically, because if I'm too bogged down in the literal research nitty-gritty of it, then it becomes inauthentic. It becomes like I'm preaching to people instead of really feeling it. Yeah.
Sure. We've got to go over to the audience. We've got some questions out there in a second. But I want to remind everyone, Bluff City Law is on NBC. You can catch it on Mondays on NBC. Yeah. And it's a fantastic show. You and Jimmy and the whole cast are so good in it. And you can catch up on Hulu, too, if you've missed any episodes. They're all streaming on Hulu. They're there right now. And it's just been so awesome having you here. Thank you so much for swinging by. All right. We've got some questions in the room. I got at least two. You got microphones. Let's go for it.
Hi, I was wondering if you had a favorite scene or moment on set while shooting the show.
Oh boy, that's a hard one. There's an episode, I think it was 2 episodes ago. Yeah, it was in 108 where I got to just tear apart this general who was like this terrible, misogynist, corrupt guy. And I felt like I got to channel things that I feel in my own life very, very well. So that was super fun. But honestly, in the pilot, the scream was sort of a magical moment on set. Jessica Yu, who is our director of the pilot, we were all sort of figuring out if that was going to work, if that scream moment was going to be just kind of like too much or not. And Jessica and I were both, and I don't know, I'm sure men feel this way as well, but we were just like, just as women, day to day, like we got some stuff to work out. So we're going to try to make this moment work as best we could. So that was really fun, especially since there's lawyers that work in the building that send me pictures of themselves screaming in that bathroom because we actually shot in the Shelby County courthouse. So that's just fun to have that happen. Yeah.
I love that they're sending you photos of that.
Yeah. It's excellent.
It's a totally normal thing that we all
Totally normal that we scream in bathrooms.
We just scream in the bathroom. All right, let's do one more question. You've got a microphone.
Hi.
Hi.
With such a clear idea of the type of character you wanted to play going into this pilot, did you have any say or like any alterations to the script of the pilot or any episodes going in?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I'm really crazy about the Bechdel test, as is our writing room. And so I think there was just one time that I just asked to have a line changed just to take off the gender of it, just to not make assumptions about who someone's attracted to. But that was really the extent of it. I mean, we have a really incredible and diverse writers room who makes sure that everyone is represented well. So I really didn't have to do much. I think the only thing that I did add, which Dean and Michael encouraged me to do, is I wanted some humor in Sydney. And I was nervous that if she's too hard-edged, then she's not human. And so that was really the biggest influence that I had, was trying to have her be a little messier, just because otherwise she's just like a badass in a suit, but you gotta like have an edge to you that's a little more human. Yeah.
Were you at all, like, to play someone with that level of confidence in the courtroom, did you observe cases? Did you, like, what, other than doing the research and reading, like, how did you mentally prepare to carry yourself with that air in that environment?
Like gravitas.
Yeah, that gravitas. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Gravitas.
Yes. I did go to a couple cases when we were in Memphis. We got invited. We had an amazing legal technical advisor, and it was actually a father and daughter duo, which was so special. They work together very nicely, though, so it's different. It's a little different. Yeah. But they were so incredibly helpful and brought us to go to the courthouse and see it. And it's a very performative position. Like, being a lawyer is very performative. You have to convince a group of people to, whether it's an audience or a jury, to side with you and root for you. And so I did sort of figure out where Sydney turns it on and turns it off, and where she is and where she slips in is usually her temper in court, frankly. And that's not always a good thing. So I just tried to harness everything that I've seen as far as like watching lawyers and their performative qualities. Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to wrap things up, but thank you again so much for hanging out with us. You were lovely. This is a great time. You guys are a great audience. Thank you for hanging out with us. All the episodes that we just talked about are available on Hulu right now, including that incredible free speech episode. Go check it out. And then to watch it live when it happens, you can catch it Mondays on NBC, Bluff City Law. Thank you again so much. Everybody make a crazy amount of noise. Join me in
Thank you,
Caitlin
middle
McGee.
Schoolers.